What if I told you that money is not earned, but attracted? And that the most powerful tool to do it is something you already have, but are probably using against yourself. I am not talking about lucky charms or magic formulas, but something much more real and powerful, your own mind. Stay with me, because what you are about to discover can change not only your bank account, but the rules of the game you have lived by until today. Money reaches your mind before it reaches your pocket. This is a truth most people overlook. It is not luck, it is not coincidence, and it is not a hidden mystery. The ability to generate income begins with the way you think and the decisions you make every day. If you want to attract more money, you must first create the mental conditions to receive it, keep it, and multiply it. This is not achieved by repeating empty phrases, but by training your mind the same way you would train a muscle, with constant practice and discipline. Every income you earn today is the direct result of how you thought in the past. If your income is limited, it is because your ideas, beliefs, and habits have been limited. On the other hand, if you want more, you must begin to think bigger, more strategically, and with greater focus on value. Money is a consequence, not a cause. If you try to chase it without changing the way you think, even if you manage to get it, it will slip through your hands. The first thing you must understand is that money flows to those who solve problems and create value. Ask yourself, what problems can I solve, and for whom? Each answer to that question is a doorway to higher income. If your mind focuses only on what you want to spend or what you lack, you will be operating from scarcity. But if you focus on providing solutions, you automatically step into the realm of abundance. Think of anyone you admire financially. Before achieving their results, they first developed a mindset that allowed them to see opportunities where others only saw obstacles. That mindset does not form overnight. It is built with the right information, consistent action, and the willingness to learn from every experience. This is where the habit of feeding yourself with positive and practical ideas every day becomes essential. What you let into your mind determines what comes out of it in the form of decisions. To attract money with your mind, begin by eliminating the limiting beliefs you have accepted as truths. Many people believe that money is hard to get, that it is only for a few, or that to have it you must sacrifice everything. These ideas are not facts. They are interpretations, and like any interpretation, they can be changed. If instead of thinking, it is difficult to earn money, you think every day there are more ways to generate income, and if I learn how to find them, your brain will begin to look for and notice opportunities you previously ignored. The next step is to clearly define how much money you want to attract, and for what purpose. A mind without goals is like a ship without a rudder. It moves, but without direction. If you decide you want to double your income in a year, that forces your mind to search for strategies, connections, and concrete actions that bring you closer to that goal. If you do not set a number, your mind will not know where to direct its energy. It is also essential to surround yourself with positive influences. I am not only talking about people, but about everything you consume mentally: books, courses, conversations, and even the content you watch on social media. If every day you feed yourself with ideas of scarcity, fear, or complaints, your mind will be programmed to see the world as a hostile place. On the other hand, if you nurture yourself with success stories, practical strategies, and examples of people who have achieved what you want, your mind will be trained to look for solutions instead of excuses. Remember, money does not come to you because you wish for it, but because you become the person capable of attracting and managing it. Your goal must be to transform yourself into that kind of person, become an expert in your field. Increase your ability to solve problems, and keep your mind open to new opportunities. The world changes quickly, and those who prosper are not the ones waiting for luck to knock on their door, but the ones who know how to adapt and create value under any circumstance. Do not underestimate the power of your daily thoughts. Every time you choose to think about solutions instead of complaints, possibilities instead of limitations, you are strengthening the muscle that will attract greater income. And every time you act in alignment with those positive thoughts, you are sending a clear message: I am ready for more, and I am willing to earn it with value and preparation. Money hears that message through the opportunities that begin to appear. Starting today, commit to taking control of your inner dialogue. Every time you think, I can't afford it, replace it with, how can I afford it? That simple question shifts your focus from lack to creativity. It forces you to activate the part of your brain responsible for problem solving, and that is where income-generating ideas are born. Money is attracted by applied creativity, not by repeated complaints. If you understand this, you have already taken the first big step. Attracting money with your mind does not mean it will magically appear in your hands. It means you will create the thought, the strategy, and the deliberate action necessary for it to arrive consistently and grow over time. That is true wealth, knowing that you can generate more at any moment because your mind is trained to achieve it. The next step to attract money with your mind is to understand that thoughts alone are not enough. They must be turned into deliberate, repeated, and measurable actions. People often confuse the desire to have more money with the true intention to achieve it. Desire is passive, intention implies movement, and that movement begins in your mind, but materializes through habits and conscious decisions. The mind is like a magnet, but that magnet works best when aligned with your actions. You cannot expect extraordinary results with ordinary behavior. If your thoughts are about abundance, but your actions are inconsistent or mediocre, you will send a contradictory message that will ultimately hold back your progress. That is why every thought of prosperity must be backed up by behavior that supports it, investing in your learning, organizing your finances, seeking opportunities, and seizing them without delay. One of the most important habits to attract money is developing the discipline to work on what is most important before what is most urgent. Most people spend their time putting out fires and handling small tasks that have no real impact on their income. Millionaires, on the other hand, train their minds to focus on the activities that generate the highest return. This means identifying the key actions that multiply your results and dedicating most of your daily energy to them. Ask yourself, what 3 activities, if done consistently, would have the greatest impact on my income in the next 6 to 12 months? Once you have those 3, make them an absolute priority. This trains your mind to seek out and act on what produces money instead of being distracted by what only consumes time. Another way to align your mind with the attraction of money is by setting higher financial standards. It is not only about earning more, but about expecting more from yourself. For example, if you currently accept any project, client, or payment out of fear of not having another option, your mind becomes accustomed to operating from scarcity. On the other hand, if you decide to work only on projects that are aligned with your value and pay what you deserve, you are sending a clear message: my time and experience have a fair price. That standard becomes a mental filter that attracts better opportunities and drives away those that do not contribute. You must also train your mind to think in terms of multiplication and not just accumulation. Many people try to save every cent, which is a good habit in terms of financial control, but they forget that money grows when it is put to work. This means learning to invest in yourself, in your business, and in assets that generate long-term income. Every time you invest wisely, you are reinforcing the mental message that you trust your ability to generate more. That confidence is essential for your mind to see opportunities as stepping stones rather than risks that paralyze you. A powerful tool you can apply today is strategic visualization. It is not about imagining vague things, but about building a clear and detailed image of the financial life you want to have, and then using that image as a guide for making daily decisions. For example, if you visualize yourself generating twice your current income, ask yourself, what would that version of me do today? How would I speak? What would I invest my time in? What kind of people would I have around me? Acting in alignment with that image turns your mind into a constant guide that keeps you moving toward your goals. Here is where another key factor comes in. Relationships. Your mind is shaped by the environment it lives in. If you spend most of your time with people who only complain about the economy, the lack of opportunities, or how unfair the system is, you will inevitably absorb those beliefs. That is why it is essential to surround yourself with people who already think and act in a prosperous way. They do not necessarily have to be millionaires, but they should be people with a growth mindset, who talk about projects, solutions, and goals. Every conversation with them is like a workout for your brain, training it to think more productively and results-oriented. Emotional control also plays a central role in attracting money. Impulsive financial decisions often come from emotions like fear, anxiety, or uncontrolled euphoria. To train your mind to attract and keep money, you must learn to pause before making important decisions, analyze your options, and choose the one that brings long-term value. That mental pause is one of the most underrated tools for preserving and multiplying income. Finally, remember that the mind that attracts money is a mind that never stops learning. Every book you read, every course you take, and every conversation you have with people of advanced thinking broadens your perspective and gives you new tools to act. Money flows toward preparation. There are no coincidences. When your mind is full of useful ideas, and your willingness to act is sharp, the opportunities that once went unnoticed become visible and achievable. Attracting money with your mind is not a trick or an illusion. It is the result of combining clear thoughts, defined goals, productive habits, strategic relationships, and firm discipline. Once this way of thinking becomes your standard, the flow of income stops being something you chase and becomes something you naturally generate. One of the most important truths you must understand about attracting money with your mind is that this process is cumulative. It is not a one-time event, but a continuous construction that strengthens every day. Money goes to those who have created a mental and practical system to produce it, keep it, and multiply it. That is why your goal is not to rely on a stroke of luck, but to become a person who, no matter the circumstances, knows how to generate income. At this point, we need to talk about the concept of self-worth. The money you earn is directly related to the perception you have of yourself and your value in the marketplace. If you do not believe you deserve to earn more, your mind will unconsciously reject opportunities, set low prices, or settle for less than you can truly achieve. Raising your self-worth means recognizing that what you know, what you do, and what you can learn has value that the market is willing to pay for, as long as you present it correctly and know who to offer it to. A practical exercise you can apply right now is to write a list of all the skills you already have and the ones you can develop in the next 6 months. Then identify which of those skills are in the highest demand in today's market. This simple analysis will open your mind to new ways of generating income. Many times we do not attract more money simply because we have not taken the time to consciously analyze what our real tools are and how we can make the most of them. Attracting money with your mind also requires learning to think big but act small with consistency. This means having an ambitious vision for your financial goals, but breaking them down into achievable steps that you can execute daily. Large numbers begin with small actions that are repeated with discipline. A successful entrepreneur did not build their fortune with a single move, but by making hundreds of correct decisions over time. One of the most common mistakes that blocks the attraction of money is the all-or-nothing mentality. Many people wait for the one big opportunity that will change their lives overnight, and while they wait, they waste the small opportunities that could multiply over time. Change that mindset. Focus on adding value constantly. Even if at first it seems small, that habit of acting on small opportunities trains your mind to recognize patterns and anticipate bigger ones. You must also pay attention to your language. The words you use reflect and reinforce your way of thinking. If you constantly say, "I can't afford it," "that's too expensive," or "things are too difficult," your brain accepts those phrases as commands and stops looking for solutions. Replace those expressions with questions that force you to think of alternatives. How can I afford it? What would I need to do to achieve it? What am I missing to reach that goal? This change in language is simple but has a profound impact on your ability to attract money because it trains your mind to search for paths instead of excuses. Another key point is mental and financial organization. A disorganized mind cannot attract or manage money effectively. If your personal finances are full of uncontrolled debts, unnecessary expenses, and no record keeping, your mental energy will be consumed by putting out fires instead of creating opportunities. Start by knowing exactly how much comes in and how much goes out each month. Then establish a clear plan to cut unnecessary expenses and allocate part of your income to investments or productive savings. This financial clarity sends a message to your mind: I am ready to handle more. Attracting money also means taking full responsibility for your current situation. As long as you blame the economy, the government, your boss, or any other external circumstance, you are giving away your power. The mindset that generates wealth says, I may not have chosen my starting point, but I do choose where I'm going. This attitude of responsibility automatically puts you in a position to act, and that consistent action is what ultimately produces results. It is also important to train your ability to spot trends. We live in a world that changes at high speed, and many financial opportunities are born from adapting earlier than the majority. Stay informed about changes in technology, consumer behavior, the economy, and social habits. Ask yourself, how can I add value within this trend? This ability to connect your talents with what the market demands is one of the most effective ways to attract sustainable income. Finally, never forget that the mind needs motivation and purpose. Money by itself is not a powerful enough goal to keep you taking action over the long term. Ask yourself why you want more money: to give your family a better quality of life, to have freedom of time, to invest in projects you are passionate about. The clearer and more emotional your reason, the easier it will be for your mind to find the energy to persist. The key is to understand that attracting money with your mind is a combination of vision, consistent action, learning, self-worth, and discipline. If you strengthen each of these pillars, the flow of income will not be a matter of luck, but the inevitable result of the way you think and act. Attracting money with your mind also means developing a strategic vision for your life. This is not simply thinking about the next month or the next year, but imagining and planning what you want your financial situation to look like in 5, 10, or even 20 years. Most people live reacting to circumstances, but those who achieve consistent stability and growth in their income act by anticipating them. Long-term vision is powerful because it forces you to make better decisions today. If you know that in 5 years you want to have an investment generating passive income, you will automatically begin to prioritize smart saving, acquiring assets, and learning financial skills. That clarity works like a compass. Even if distractions or unnecessary expenses appear, your mind will remember where it is heading and filter out the decisions that pull you away from the goal. Part of thinking strategically is understanding that not all actions have the same value. Some produce an immediate impact on your income, others build the foundation for the future. Your job is to balance both. Dedicate time each day to activities that bring results today: clients, sales, quick opportunities, and activities that build future income, investments, training, asset creation. This dual approach maintains your current flow of income while preparing the ground for sustainable abundance. Another fundamental aspect is learning to think in terms of value and not just cost. People with a scarcity mindset see the price before the benefit. People with a prosperity mindset analyze the return before the expense. This means that before rejecting an opportunity because of its cost, ask yourself, what return will this investment bring me over time? Many of the decisions that change your financial situation require an initial outlay, whether in time, money, or energy. But if the investment is well chosen, the return will far outweigh the cost. A practical tool to reinforce this mindset is to measure every expense as a potential investment. For example, if you pay for a course, analyze how much your income could increase by applying what you learn. If you buy a tool for your work, evaluate how many hours it will save you or how many additional clients you'll be able to serve. This way of thinking turns every decision into a strategic calculation and trains your mind to see money as a resource that can multiply, not just something to be spent. Mastering focus is just as essential. The mind attracts whatever it repeatedly concentrates on. If you spend more time thinking about problems than solutions, your brain will train itself to detect more problems. On the other hand, if you focus on opportunities and improvements, you'll naturally develop a radar to spot them. This doesn't mean ignoring reality, but rather training yourself to find growth possibilities in any situation. A powerful exercise is to start each day by writing down 3 opportunities you could take advantage of, no matter how small. Maybe it's a call to a client, an idea to improve your work, or a new contact you could develop. This practice trains your mind to begin the day with a proactive, value-creating focus instead of simply reacting to whatever shows up. Attracting money with your mind also requires eliminating habits that sabotage your progress. Among these are procrastination, impulsive decisions, and lack of follow-through. Positive thinking loses power if it's paired with delayed actions or missed opportunities. The key is to close the loop. When you spot an opportunity, act. When you make a decision, follow through. When you set a goal, review your progress regularly. This consistency sends an internal message of seriousness and commitment, and your mind responds by generating more ideas and resources to keep the flow going. At this point, resilience becomes a crucial factor. Even with the best mindset, there will be times when things don't go as expected. The difference between those who keep attracting money and those who get stuck is the ability to adapt without losing momentum. When faced with a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust my strategy for a better outcome? This kind of reflection turns mistakes into assets because every lesson learned increases your ability to make smarter decisions in the future. Another element you cannot ignore is building multiple sources of income. A mind trained to attract money does not depend on a single stream because it knows that creates vulnerability. Start exploring ways to monetize your knowledge, your network, or your current resources. It could be through a service, a digital product, an investment, or a side project. What matters is that your mind begins to think in terms of diversity instead of dependency. Finally, remember that the mind that attracts money is also a mind that protects and multiplies what it already has. Generating income is only half of the work. The other half is managing it intelligently. That means allocating part of it to expenses, another part to savings, another to investments, and if possible, another to causes you care about. This balance keeps your cash flow healthy and gives you the peace of mind of knowing you are building wealth solidly, not just chasing temporary income. Attracting money with your mind also involves something many people overlook: developing smart financial habits. One thing is generating income, and a very different thing is managing it so that it becomes a constant source of security and growth. Money is like water. If you don't create channels to direct and use it, it leaks away without you noticing. The first essential habit is to pay your future self first, before spending on anything else. Set aside a percentage of your income for savings and investments. This simple act sends a message to your mind and your subconscious: my future is important, and I am working for it. It doesn't matter if that percentage is small at first. What matters is creating the discipline. Over time, your brain will associate earning income with setting some aside for growth, and that habit will become as automatic as any basic expense. The second habit is to differentiate between an expense and an investment. An expense is something you consume that doesn't generate a return. An investment is something you put into motion to create more value, whether financial, educational, or experiential. Each time you spend money on something, ask yourself, Will this bring me closer to or farther from my financial goals? That question forces you to think strategically and prevents your money from disappearing into impulsive or unnecessary purchases. A third key habit is keeping a written record of your finances. Don't rely on memory. Write down every income and every expense, no matter how small. This control not only gives you clarity, but also trains you to be conscious of every financial decision. Many people fail to attract more money simply because they don't know where their current money is going. A mind that wants to generate abundance must first prove it can manage what it already has. Attracting money also requires learning to use time as a financial resource. Time is in fact more valuable than money, because you can lose money and recover it, but lost time never comes back. People with a prosperity mindset are extremely aware of how and with whom they invest their time. Evaluate each activity in your day and ask yourself, does this create value or is it just keeping me busy? Activities that don't generate direct or indirect value must be minimized. A highly effective tool is the Pareto principle, which says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. Identify that 20% of actions that generate most of your income and focus on amplifying them. This is powerful mental training because it forces you to think in terms of impact and efficiency, instead of simply staying busy. Another pillar of this mindset is the constant strengthening of your skills. The market rewards value, and value is directly linked to what you can do, and the quality with which you do it. Decide in which area you want to stand out and become an expert. This doesn't happen by chance, but through a daily commitment to learning. A mind trained to attract money understands that its greatest asset is applied knowledge. You must also be aware of calculated risk. There is no growth without some level of risk, but the difference between a smart decision and a reckless gamble lies in preparation. Before investing money, time, or energy into something, research, ask questions, seek advice, and analyze scenarios. This practice trains your mind to be bold but not careless, and positions you to take advantage of opportunities others avoid out of fear or ignorance. Building a high-quality network is another element you cannot overlook. Money flows through people, clients, partners, mentors, collaborators. The stronger and more diverse your circle of connections, the easier it becomes to find opportunities. But it is not just about receiving. Constantly add value to your network, share useful information, connect people with each other, and become someone who helps solve problems. That reputation opens doors that money alone could never open. Finally, never underestimate the power of a positive mindset combined with massive action. Thinking optimistically does not mean ignoring problems, but choosing to see them as challenges that can be solved. When your mind is trained to look for solutions, your ability to generate income automatically increases. And when you act without waiting for perfection, you move faster than those who remain paralyzed, endlessly planning without executing. The key here is to understand that every day you have the chance to strengthen or weaken your financial mindset. Every decision you make about your time, your money, and your relationships is a vote either for or against the life you want to build. If you want to attract money, your daily votes must lean toward growth, learning, and strategic action. At this point, you must understand something essential. Attracting money with your mind is a process of personal transformation. It is not just about financial techniques or productive habits. It is a profound shift in how you see yourself, how you interpret the world, and how you respond to every situation. Money follows personal growth. The bigger you grow as a person, the bigger your opportunities and income become. This growth begins by accepting that your current results are a direct consequence of your past thoughts, beliefs, and actions. It doesn't matter if today you are satisfied or dissatisfied with your financial situation. What matters is that now you have control to change it, and that change doesn't start when you have more time, when the economy improves, or when a perfect opportunity appears. It starts today with what you think, what you decide, and what you do. The mind that attracts money has three fundamental traits: clarity, confidence, and consistency. clarity to know exactly what it wants and why it wants it, confidence to believe it can achieve it, even without having all the answers, consistency to stay in action day after day, without depending on fleeting motivation. Begin by writing down your financial goals in detail. How much do you want to earn? In what time frame? Through which means? And what will you do with that money? The more specific you are, the easier it will be for your mind to detect opportunities aligned with that goal. Then create a simple but actionable plan. You don't need to have all the pieces at the start. What matters is to begin moving and adjust along the way. At the same time, work on your abundance mindset. This means replacing thoughts of scarcity with questions of possibility. Each time you face an obstacle, shift from I can't to how can I. This change activates your creativity, awakens your problem-solving ability, and keeps your focus locked on solutions. Remember, money flows toward value. Ask yourself every day, what value can I create today? How can I improve someone else's life? The greater your positive impact, the more reasons the market will have to reward you. And that value is not always measured in physical products. It can be knowledge, skills, connections, or the ability to make things happen faster and more efficiently for others. The next step is to strengthen your opportunity network. Stay in touch with people who are already on the path you want to follow. Listen to their experiences, learn from their mistakes, and adopt their best practices. Every conversation with someone who thinks big expands your mental horizon and exposes you to ideas you might not have considered. Never forget that speed is a key factor. High-value opportunities are rarely available for long. A mind trained to attract money acts quickly when it detects something aligned with its goals. This doesn't mean being reckless, but rather being prepared, having the information, resources, and willingness to move without delay. Finally, understand that attracting money with your mind is not an event with a start and end date. It is a lifestyle. It is waking up each day with the conscious intention to think big, act strategically, and improve continuously. It is developing the discipline to invest in yourself, to protect what you already have, and to always seek new ways to create value. It is living with the certainty that no matter the external circumstances, you have the power to generate income because your mind is trained for it. If today you decide to take control of your financial mindset, what comes next will not be a stroke of luck, but the logical consequence of your thoughts and consistent actions. Attracting money is not about waiting for it to arrive. It is about creating the conditions that make it inevitable. And those conditions begin in your mind, translate into your habits, and are reflected in your results. From this moment on, commit yourself to constant growth, immediate action, and continuous learning. Do this and you will discover that money is not something you chase desperately, but something that flows toward you because you have become the kind of person capable of generating and multiplying it under any circumstances. That is true financial freedom, not the amount you have today, but the certainty that you can always create more because your mind is programmed for it. The transformation begins now in your mind, and if you want to keep training it with ideas like this, so money stops being a concern and becomes your ally, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like so it reaches more people who need it, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single key we share. The next step toward your financial freedom begins with a click. I'll see you in the next video.